In July, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to codify into law the 2015 Supreme Court ruling redefining marriage. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer now plans to bring the intentionally misnamed Respect for Marriage Act to a vote in the Senate. And some Republican senators are indicating they'll support this act. FRC Action recently sent an alert urging voters to contact their senators to not approve this legislation. Joining me now to discuss the dangers of this bill is Mary Beth Waddell, Director of Federal Affairs and Family and Religious Liberty here at FRC. Mary Beth, good to see you today.
It's great to be with you, Joseph. Thank you.
Now let's talk about this because we know that the Supreme Court already invented a right to same-sex marriage. That is the status quo. Why do Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden think that this also needs to be put into federal statute?
Well, obviously, this bill really isn't about just codifying Obergefell and saying that same-sex marriage is okay legislatively instead of through judicial activism. This bill goes well beyond that. That's just sort of the smokescreen that they're trying to use to say that this bill is just status quo, it's not that bad. But even if you look at status quo is Jack Phillips winning at the Supreme Court, yet facing another lawsuit. It is Barronelle Stutzman losing her business. You know, it is Catholic charities being sued simply because they are Catholic charities. They did nothing to instigate a lawsuit, no denial of service, quote unquote, or anything like that. So this bill is really about making sure that there is no place in polite and public society for people of faith, and that organizations of faith cannot help those in need in their communities. That is the real goal of this bill. And what's really at stake here is harmful to children, harmful to women, harmful to families, harmful to religious liberty as a whole.
Now, Mary Beth, you say it goes far beyond the status quo that Obergefell creates. What else does it do?
So this bill creates another open door into the courtroom. It gives another avenue for attack via frivolous litigation against individuals who are people of faith and organizations of faith. That does not currently exist because obviously this would be a new law and a new statute that can be used as a basis for a lawsuit. If anyone is seen as quote unquote working on behalf of the government or a grantee of the government or something of that nature, doing something that the government would typically do, they are ripe for a lawsuit. That includes your adoption and foster care agencies and any number of other social agencies and things like that. And then it also, where Obergefell was just the judicial activism, this would now be the legislature itself speaking on this policy point, which then opens up the door to targeting the tax-exempt status of any faith-based organization that's a 501c3 has tax exemption, you know, religious schools, you name it, because now the legislature has acted and spoken on this policy point. And so it opens up that door that we already know is a target, as we saw with reconciliation and the 87,000 new IRS agents that are being hired.
Yeah, and we don't want to give those 87,000 new agents another reason to target people. But in addition to that, one of the reasons I think that this legislation was introduced was because of what happened in Dobbs overturning Roe versus Wade. And for 50 years, people did not believe that it was possible for Roe versus Wade to be overturned. And if Roe versus Wade had been put into federal statute, even when the case was overturned, you would still see abortion as the law of the land. Likewise, if marriage is redefined in federal statute, if and when Obergefell is overturned at some point in the future, it would not be returned to the states because the federal government would have put it into state statute. And that's really, I think, the reason one of the reasons, I should say, why they have decided to take this action now. Mary Beth, what do you encourage people to do in light of the looming debate in the Senate?
This is a very real threat that the Senate could very well pass in the next couple of weeks. So folks need to speak out with their senator, go to frcaction.org/marriage and send a message, send an email, give a phone call to your senator, both of them, and let them know how dangerous this bill, how opposed you are to the bill, because they absolutely must hear from their constituents on this.
That's frcaction.org/marriage. Go there to get all the information you need, as well as to contact your member of the U.S. Senate. Mary Beth Waddell, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.